Perfect, we're all systems go. Okay, so I just wanted to start by respectfully acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet. Where I am today, that's the Turrbal and Jagera people and their elders past, present and emerging. So as I mentioned, Beck and I are from the Policy Futures graduate team. We run a 2-year graduate program that spans across the Queensland government. So it's a policy officer role that our graduates undertake, and that gives them the opportunity to make a difference through the implementation of well-researched, innovative government policy. So it's a 2-year temporary program, and you get to undertake 3 different rotations across Queensland government. So we have 17 participating agencies for our current grads. That does change from year to year. So they'll, in each rotation, you get access to, a different team, diverse and complex policy environments, and different aspects of policy work. So the role of policy in government, for those that might not know, is to create a starting point for change, address issues, provide better outcomes for communities. It's a really broad and dynamic space to be working in. So your work, if you were to become a graduate policy officer, would be around affecting how public services like health, education, transport, infrastructure, police and emergency services are delivered. And we'll go through the participating agencies as well, which will give you a bit more of an idea.
Sorry, Ella, just to jump in a second here. It's just stuck on the editing page at the moment. I'm not quite sure if it's actually you're going through the slides. If you apologies, if you jump down the that can work. Also down the bottom. If you click start presentation down the bottom, I think that one.
This button. I think that's the one I pressed before. We can go through this way. It might be easier.
Yep, that's fine.
Sorry, I'm not using the desktop app, so that's probably why. Okay, let's go. I might just give this video a go. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know. I might just give you guys a little bit of a quick overview, and you can view this video on our website as well if you want. It's just a little bit of an insight into our grads' day-to-day work. So they go through what policy means for them practically and what they think good policy is. So it's definitely worth a watch if you're not really sure what being a policy officer actually entails. So I'd really recommend you have a look at that. So essentially the day-to-day tasks that they might be doing, depending on the different teams that they're in, could be writing briefing notes, researching, stakeholder engagement, contributing to the formation of legislation and writing cabinet submissions. And that can be across a huge range of topics. So depending on the agency you're in, you could be in the Queensland Police Service, you could be in Transport and Main Roads, Department of Premier and Cabinet. So some very, very diverse policy topics and environments that you could be writing, researching, collecting stakeholder feedback from, and ultimately helping inform decision makers and make sure that the decisions being made for the community are well thought out and innovative and sound. So I might move on, unfortunately, if we can't watch the video. Sorry, guys. So just a little bit more about the program. So as I've said, it's a sector-wide program across the government, and it's a 2-year temporary program, and you start at the AO3 classification, which we can talk a little bit more about. It's structured so that you undertake 3 rotations, so 2 6-month rotations in the first year and 1 12-month rotation in the second year, and each rotation is hosted by a different participating agency, so you get exposed to a wide variety of policy environments and networking opportunities. So you're exposed to a really broad network, as I just said, but we also offer an in-depth induction, a formal mentoring program, and a really comprehensive learning and development program, which I'll talk a little bit more about as well. In terms of employment conditions, can I just check, can everyone see my screen, or is it not working anymore? Is it still working?
Yep.
Perfect, thanks guys. So yeah, the Queensland Government employment conditions are very generous. So you start at the AO3 classification, which is currently at $68,414 per annum, and that's paid, and that's a fortnightly pay we get, and it's also with super on top of that. And that's in your first year. That goes up every year with increments. And then, of course, if you gain a position in the second year of the program, it would go up. And yeah, you can see all of the details there. I won't go through them. They're all available on the website as well. But it's a very generous employment package that Queensland Government offer. In terms of participating agencies, on the screen you can see our current agencies for the 2022 cohort. This might change slightly, but I would suspect it will probably only grow because graduates, our Policy Futures grads across the sector are really, really in demand, and more agencies seem to want to be involved. So there's some that are always involved. So Beck and I from Department of Premier and Cabinet, we always have a number of placements available in DPC. Queensland Health, Justice and Attorney General, Queensland Treasury, and the Public Service Commission are others that are always involved. And some of the smaller agencies can change depending on their needs and if there's really relevant entry-level policy work available. But for the most part, this is our key agencies. One question we get asked quite a lot is, do I get to choose which agency I go into? So how placements work for each rotation is you receive a document that has a blurb about each placement team, and then we ask for your preferences for each rotation, and we try our hardest to give you in your top 3 preferences if possible. And if we can't do that for rotation 1, we then prioritise you for rotation 2 and so on and so forth. But we don't just put you anywhere if we aren't able to give you in your top 3. We really think through, okay, why the reasoning, you'll give us a bit of reasoning about your preferences. We look at that, we look at your study background and what is being offered in that particular placement as well. And we try and really make sure it's a considered match and you're going to get a lot of value out of it, out of your time in that agency. And just briefly, the Learning and Development Program, I just put this up because I know it's a lot of information, don't have to read it all, just to give you a visual of how much learning and development our grads get. So particularly in that first 6 months and that first year really is where we're really just trying to give you all the information that you need to become a really well-rounded policy officer. So there's a huge amount of training, policy skills from the Australian New Zealand School of Government, resilience and wellbeing, and soft skills kind of training, and writing skills and governance skills. It's really comprehensive. So on top of the L&D, you obviously have your network of like-minded grads, structured mentoring program, your 3 rotations, which is awesome development, and then in your second year, the opportunity for higher duties while on the program. So that means, you could work in a higher role while maintaining your position on the program. Career outcomes. So of grads that stay or decide to stay in Queensland Government, 94% secure opportunities at the AO4 level or above. So you can see over here, mostly at the AO5 and AO6 levels. So AO5 is about $92,000 a year, just to give you a bit of an idea. And the types of roles that people are doing in this policy space would be senior or principal advisor roles, so advisory, policy officer roles, very similar, and project officer roles. You might be working on a specific project. So it's very diverse, and I'd really encourage you to have a look at the videos on the website to get a little bit more of an idea from our graduates themselves as well. And in that second year of the program, because it's a temporary program, we really support graduates with changing our learning and development to really focus on interview and application skills. We start sending through higher duties opportunities, which we get sent all the time because graduates are in such high demand across the sector. And just support just generally on a personal level, graduates with finding their next role as they come to the end of the 2-year program. I might hand over to Beck now. Beck's going to just have a quick chat about the recruitment process for 2023.
Thanks, Ella. Good afternoon, everyone. So our recruitment process sounds like it's quite similar to some of the other processes that we've heard talked about this afternoon already. But I thought I'd just quickly go through the different phases of our recruitment process. And we are actually open now taking applications, and you're in luck today because we've extended the closing date from tomorrow until Monday. So if you haven't already got an application in, it just gives you a couple of more days to get an application in. From the application form, we go to online testing, online assessments, which is your video interview and a written exercise, and then we do assessment centres as well. I'll just go into each of those sections in a little bit more detail. So in the application form, candidates are just required to fill out a form that's basic personal and demographic information, qualifications and education, and there's also a small written piece in there of about 300 words where you have to describe why you want to work for Queensland Government and your motivation for wanting to join our program in particular. In terms of numbers that come through for our program, at the early stages, we usually get about 1,400 applications. And from there, we send everyone through to online testing. Which, sorry, the dates are a bit out there because we haven't had time to adjust them with the new closing date. But the online testing is open from the 12th of April and will finish on the 25th of April. And the online testing involves 3 standard tests, which is the verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, and personality questionnaire. We use a recruitment provider called SOVA Assessments, and we use their platform to administer those online testing as well. Just some tips for the online testing phase of our process is make sure that you allow yourself plenty of time to do the tests. Ensure your technology is working properly and that you have a quiet space to undertake the tests. And make sure you have a good internet connection. And particularly for the numerical reasoning, make sure you have a piece of paper, some pen, calculator for you to undertake those tests. Each time we send out an invitation for the next stage of our process, there's lots of instructions on how to prepare and what to expect from that particular phase of recruitment. So I'm very conscious of time here, so I'll move on to our online assessments. So that involves a video interview. So during the video interview, you will be asked to provide recorded responses to 3 behavioural questions. You'll receive the question in text, and then you'll have 90 seconds to review the question, think of a quick answer, and then have 3 minutes to record your answer or you record your response to that question. When you first go into the portal, there will be an area where you can do a practice question before you actually start the real testing. So that's always a good idea to give yourself time to do that as well. We would suggest that you familiarise yourself with the STAR methodology as mentioned by Maddie from Defence. That's always a good way to make sure that you're answering questions properly and providing really relevant examples. In terms of our competencies as well, we would suggest that you review our role description and also review the leadership competencies for Queensland. All of this information is on our website as well. So go in and have a look at that before you start any sort of testing. And again, with the other testing, if you allow yourself plenty of time and ensure your technology is working properly as well. That's always a good idea. Sorry, Ella, just go back to the assessment centres. So our assessment centres this year are being run between the 30th of May until the 3rd of June. So that's a week of assessment centres. You're required to participate in one. We are offering virtual assessment centres for people who are unable to attend in person. So this may be people that are from out of state or people that are in, quarantine, isolation because of COVID. We try to be able to make the process accessible for everyone. So our assessment centre consists of 2 activities, the group activities, which sounded very similar to Maddie's presentation with in defence, that it's a group activities and you're given an activity to work on, to work within the group. Full instructions will be provided on the day, and a time limit applies to that. I think we have about 45 minutes to complete that activity when face-to-face, when we're doing it face-to-face, and about an hour when we're doing that activity virtually. From there, you will also be given an individual interview where you'll have 2 assessors asking you 4 questions. And these are behavioural based questions as well. And to prepare for that stage of the process, again, reviewing the leadership competencies, making sure you're familiar with the role description. There's lots of websites online that give you practice behavioural questions, and using the STAR method to be able to address or to answer those questions is always very helpful as well. So, and then we'll hopefully be going out to offer people roles in mid-June. We're hoping this year that we will have 35 positions on offer as well. We also, as I said before, try to make our process as accessible as possible. So if there's anybody who has accessibility requests, these are some of the things we've been able to offer in the past, which is extra time for activities, audio accessibility, a quiet room during our assessment centres, printed materials, and telephone interviews to replace video interviews. So if at any stage you would like to ask a question about accessibility, please just get in contact with us. Again, all of that information is on our website. And the other thing, sorry, Ella, we can go on to the next one, is that if there's also a range of other graduate programs available in Queensland Government. There is a portal where you can go in and register, and you'll be considered for a range of different graduate programs. It's also a good place to have a look at, that here you can find out lots of information as well. And sometimes the graduate portal is used for just getting for entry-level positions into the government anyway. So yeah, it's worthwhile. Ella's just put that link in the chat, and it's worthwhile going in and having a look. And I think that's about our time up now.
Great timing.
I'll hand back over to Sam.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Ella. And thanks for your patience with the tech issues. It's the joy of virtual. There's always something. But thanks for your great presentation today. As they said, the application is currently open, so make sure you get them in right now. And I think Frimsell's put a link to that live on Grad Australia as well.